tap it down. Now, the next point on this is, how am I going to sew it? Well, I would like a bit around the edge here, okay, just as a decorative, but I could also hide the end of the thread inside, and I've looked at both of those. So, but the first thing I want to do is, let's just see how easy it is to get the needle through. And that's not matching up. It did match up earlier. It did. Honest. Oh, it's matched up on that side. Yeah, I'm going to need something to help me on this. That is definitely going to need some help. Okay, so I think I'm going to need the awl, and I'm going to need to put a hole through before I do it. So first one goes through. I'm going to put this little thingy on because I now understand its use. It helps you grip. Now I don't know how tight I'm supposed to pull that, so let's hold that in the right place. Okay, now the next question is, do I hold that to one side? It seems I do. Right. Okay, so this is going to take me a little bit of time. I can see that because I'm going to need to put the awl through each hole to widen them up, because I did these holes yesterday and they've actually closed. I don't know if you can see that. They've actually closed up quite considerably since yesterday. So what I shall do is I shall put a hole in and then put the needle through. That makes it much easier for the needle to go through. Pull that out of the way. I don't have a sewing pony or whatever they're called. Put that one through and pull it tight. And I don't know if you can see, but it's starting to make a pattern. So what I shall do is I shall just go down the line, and I'll come back when we get to the end here, which might take me a few minutes. Well, okay, so I think for a first attempt that's not too bad, but I have learnt a number of things. First of all, you don't need a stitching pony. There is a technique, and that technique I found is relatively easy, and it's just to hold the thread as it comes round over your finger like that. You don't need to pull it really tight, it just needs to be tight, okay? It just needs to be sufficient to pull the thread down into the hole, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I can't do mathematics. I had an expensive education and I can't do mathematics. So basically that is 45 centimeters, that is 45 centimeters, and that is 45 centimeters, okay, which makes a total of 135 centimeters, not 45 centimeters. So by not doing my mathematics correctly, you can see I've only really got sufficient to do one side, okay. Now it's not too difficult. The lessons I learnt are from doing just this one little piece, which isn't very much at all. First of all, when you need to glue your two pieces of leather together first, okay, and you then need to do the pricking holes, the stitching holes, okay, because they do close up, and I had to use the bradawl, the awl, to actually open the holes up again, because they do close up. But as soon as you open the holes up again, it's really, really easy. So do it all as sort of one procedure. Okay. The second thing is that you can actually feel that thread there, even though there is a line which I put on with the dividers around the whole thing. So I would prefer a groove line on that, so I would prefer a groove line. I'm going to do that as well, so I'm going to try that, and I'll show you it at the end. I won't do it all because it's boring watching somebody stitch. Now I'm going to have to tie this off here. Now what they seem to do is they go back one hole, okay, like that, or this is what the professionals seem to do. They go back one hole, so you put it over your finger and just hold it, okay. Where's the other one? So that's that one. I want the one behind, okay. Push it through, this is the problem I found, is that coming in from the back was much more difficult than going in from the front for some reason. Okay, so you now have those two there, and then what you do, and I don't have a cigarette lighter, I'm going to have to go and get it, is you then hold this tight, okay, and you put the blade, I'm trying to show you at the same time, you put the blade against the thread and move the thread. So blade against the thread and move the thread, okay, and that does the cut. I'm going to go and get the cigarette lighter and something, because we don't smoke in this house, but something, and just finish that off. So I'll be back in a second. So this is probably overkill. We use it for, of course, lighting the gas. So let's just do it gently. Oop. And rub it down. That side's okay. This one needs a touch more. Seem to have got a bit of soot on that one. Okay, so there is my finished stitch line. Now you can see it sort of follows the pattern, and I'm going to have to practice a lot to make this work properly. You can see it is a small pouch. I've got no idea what I'm going to use it for. I just thought I would just do this. So what I'm going to do is, this time I'm going to cut the correct length of thread. I'm going to do the rest, and I'll also do this one, and I'll come back when I've finished. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can see I'm getting to the end of the single piece, which has the groove line in it, and I can tell you I've learnt quite a lot just in doing this these two small pieces. The first thing is, as you can see, I'm not using a stitching pony, but the first thing is glue them together and put the holes through both and make sure they're right, because the holes do close up, so you need to then do it fairly quickly afterwards as the holes are closing up. The second thing I learnt, okay, was make sure you've got the right length of thread, because I badly underestimated and I didn't do my calculations correctly. So technically 5, 10, 15, okay, so that's 15 centimeters there. So in theory that should be 3 times that, which is 45 centimeters. This piece of thread here is 90 centimeters long, so you can see it's double that. Okay, it's probably a bit too much, but you know, this piece of thread is 90 centimeters, and I'm just about going to do it with, well, okay, there's going to be some waste, but not too much waste. The next thing I found is that in threading the needles, make sure you leave about 2.5, about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters of thread, otherwise it pulls off, as you can see. And the third thing, which I found, which was very interesting, is that when you're actually sewing, I don't know if you can see that, I'm just gently, and it is gently because you can just move that a bit, you can see, I'm gently pulling that down. Now, and slightly to the front, although it's a bit difficult when you're getting to the end of the piece. Now what that does is actually opens the hole up and makes it easier for the needle to go through, and it also makes sure that you go through from the top. Now we'll have a look at the actual stitch line when we've finished, but it does make sure that you go through at the top and you're not catching the thread. So I'll just do this one here. So pull it through, leave go, grab, like that, and then it's straight in. I don't know if you can see, but it's above the thread there, and it was easy to pull through. And then you can get, oops, as I say, this is getting a bit small now, and then you can pull through, leave go. So I'm pulling it forward and down, put the needle in, and the needle is above the thread, and through, oops, wrong side, and through, okay, leave go, and through, oops, like that, okay, leave go, pull it down and forward. You can then poke the rear one through like that, through the front hole, and you get yourself a nice little rhythm going, and it becomes very, very easy. Now to finish this off, I shall go back through that hole there. Now this is a bit more difficult. I'll do it that way. Excuse me, I can't see very well. Well, I can't see very well best of times, but do that. Go back, and I'm going to leave it with just one, like that. So cut the thread off. Again, a bit difficult to show you on camera, but if you put the knife on the thread and move the thread, put the knife on the thread and move the thread, and that's that. Now before I do those ends, okay, I much prefer this, I really do. That feels much nicer than that. I know you're supposed to now tap it down and so on both of them, but it's a bit difficult. Now you can actually see my bad sewing. It's not in a good line here. I've done quite well across the bottom, except for just at the edge there, relatively well, as I say. Don't worry about those prick holes there, it was just something I was playing with. Again, it takes practice, it does take practice. If I just do those ends while I think about it. Get a bit of soot on there, but I'm sure it'll wipe off. Okay, so as you can see, the stitching line is getting better with practice. It's getting much better. I much prefer, as I say, the groove, but that's my own personal preference. I seem to have made some sort of mistake here. I've missed a stitch by the looks of things in the corner there. But again, I'm learning. That's what all of this is about. I'm learning. Now, to me, as I say, that I'm actually quite proud of that. It's not perfect. It's not perfect by any means, but that one in the groove line is quite good. Now, you can do different depths of groove line, and you have to remember that if you are putting a groove line in, you are actually weakening the material. So you have to decide how much you can actually weaken the material by. But that's come out quite well. The back side actually looks better than the front side. So, stitching. The pocket, as you can see, it opens up. I have no idea what I can use it for. Maybe to keep a pricking iron in. I don't know. It's a bit big for the pricking iron, and I think it won't be deep enough for this, because it'll just cut on the end there. But yeah, so that, let me just see how far that went down. Well, it didn't actually go all the way to the bottom, so there is still some space to go, but so I'm not too sure what I will use it for, apart from the fact that it was designed to be a piece of practice. So that's that. A very useful learning opportunity, that. And so the glue went everywhere, so it was a good idea to use this. It was also very useful when sewing to keep the two halves together. I'm still not convinced about this burning the thread, because I seem to be marking The leather, though, I'm sure that will come off somehow, but I'm not too sure how. But one thing it has taught me is that I need to practice, and I need to practice a lot. And that trick of wrapping the thread around your finger and pulling it like that, it really does open the hole up and make it much easier to put the needle through. And so the back actually looks much nicer than the front. It does. The front is a nice line. I thought it was going to look bigger, the stitches. I really did, but that seems to be quite good. I prefer that. There's no groove line here, so you can actually see the zigzag on the stitching, whereas in the groove line you can't really see the zigzag because it's lying in the line on that. When I get better at stitching, I would imagine that is a much more pleasant, the one without the groove line has a much more pleasant look to it. Until I get better at stitching, possibly use the groove line on that, and the back looks quite good. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Please leave any comments, hints, tips, anything below. Like and dislike, because that really does help a lot. And subscribe as well. Subscribing costs nothing, and you can unsubscribe at any time. Thank you very much.